Hello, so welcome to this video for COMP3218, Games Design and Development at the University of Southampton. My name's Dave Millard, I'm one of the lecturers on the course, and I'm here with...
Hi, I'm Callum, and I'm one of the demonstrators on the course.
So, in this video, we're going to have a look at a couple of the games that the students have submitted for their second coursework. This coursework was about doing a narrative game. So, creating a game with a story engine where events in the narrative affected the events in the game world, and events in the game world affected things that were going on in the narrative. And we gave them 3 different fables to base this on. So, it'll be interesting to see which ones they've picked. Okay, so let's have a look at our first game, which I think is called Jungle Journey. Dialogue text. Oh, health. Hang on a minute. Oh, hang on. That was a strange nightmare. Never mind, I'm sure it doesn't mean anything. Press space to close. Why have I got dialogue text written down the bottom? That's a bit strange. Movement. WASD or arrow keys. Space to pounce. Oh, yeah, I can sort of pounce like that. All right.
What does the lion not have a head? It looks like it just kind of has a neck stump.
Yeah, sort of a mighty mane and then a sort of stump. I think that's supposed to be the lion's nose.
Okay.
Yeah. But you know, hey. So what do you think that is? So I just go up and hit it. What is it? Oh, mouse! No, please don't eat me. I beg you. Continue. What do you think I need to do to continue? Arrow keys, space.
Click the word continue.
Click on continue. Oh, there you go.
Okay.
I'm a clever mouse. If you spare me, I'll be forever in your debt. I'll click not the word continue. No, I do have to click continue. And what could you possibly ever do to pay that debt? You are but a tiny mouse. I know, but being tiny means I can do things you cannot. And anyway, a tiny creature like me wouldn't make for a meal worthy of a lion. The poor little mouse is... It's true. The poor little mouse is begging for its life. Should I eat it? Oh yeah, well, God, our stamina's going right down. Shall we eat the mouse and restore some stamina, or should we spare the mouse's life?
I feel like the mouse was right when it said that it's not big enough for a proper meal for something the size of a lion. We need like a gazelle.
That's a good point. Let's spare its life. Thank you, I'll never forget this. Well, do you think I should go through there? Oh, there we go. Oh, that looks like a gazelle. Come on, gazelle. Oh, no. Hang on. Where's it gone?
It's escaped.
I think the gazelle's just... Oh, it's come back.
Oh, it's back.
Got you. Oh, it's a fox. Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
Mr. Lion. I didn't expect to see you here. Especially not when there are poachers in the area. Poachers? It's just like in that dream I had earlier. Oh, that's what that things were. The poachers shooting us, was it?
Right.
A proud and strong animal.
I suppose.
Sure to be a top target. For poachers? Do poachers go poaching lions? Seems a bit of a dangerous... I suppose, that's for hunters, I suppose. If what you say is true, you will have gained my trust. How can I know you're not lying to me? You're too scary. Yeah, we do have to eat. We're just going to run out of stamina. What should we do? We're losing stamina again. Okay, I'm gonna say yes.
Oh, it's still going down lower in the dial.
I know. Thank you. You can count on me. I'm about to run out of stamina. Oh, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to eat. What's that?
What is that? It shoots you. It's a snake.
Oh, it's a snake. Oh, it's spitting at me. It damaged me a bit. They don't seem your usual self. There are poachers around. I'm trying to keep my wits about me. They're not accurate enough to shoot me. And spit poison at them before anything about it. Oh, yeah. How about we strike a deal? You don't kill me, and perhaps I can take out a poacher if they come looking for you. What do you say? Well, so we're out of stamina.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like that's caused any problems.
You're right. So should we just go with it?
Maybe, yeah. Let's see what happens if we just never eat anything.
Okay. I've completely run out of stamina. Milling about. Dialogue text.
Okay. Oh.
Well, how am I supposed to hide from them?
Maybe we're meant to attack.
Oh, it's the pounce. I've got no pounce.
Oh, okay.
Seems like I told you I could be helpful. Now I've had a mind in the bargain. I hope you trust me more in the future. What's that over there?
I think that's the snake, isn't it?
Oh, it was a snake, was it? Ah.
Ooh.
Can I get through there? Lion. Oh no, a big net. This is so slow. It's going to get me.
The net appears to have disappeared, though.
Yeah, what's happened to the net? Oh, I think it just slowed me. Oh, I died.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's a shame. And I can't do anything else.
So is it the... I can't tell if it's the stream connection or whether it's just that this game is running very slowly. But it looked...
It's quite... You do sort of wallow about... It wasn't jittery, it's okay. So it's smooth, but it's quite slow.
Okay. Right.
So I'm gonna...
I assume that's just the stream then.
Yeah, I'm going to relaunch. And we'll have a look at... We'll try it again. And this time let's eat some stuff. I think the...
Sure.
Yeah, they're all just surrounding me, look. That was a strange knot. Okay. Oh, please don't eat me, I beg you. So, well, I've got loads of stamina, so I am going to spare the mouse's life. I'll never forget this. Ah, there we go. We're going to eat you. Come here, Mr. Fox. Come on, Mr. Fox.
It is
got you.
Slightly annoying that it leaves the screen.
Yeah, and then it actually ran into me, which isn't the best strategy. All right, so I think we're still okay. So I'm not too worried at the moment. We're kind of racing through this now, so I'm gonna see if I can carry on. Yeah, we'll save you because now I'm getting a bit faster. I'm not so worried. Okay, dialogue text. Get off me. I'm not impressed by this snake.
I mean, he has actually damaged us, so I think we should probably eat the snake.
You reckon? Ah, go on then. I'm gonna eat you. Did I do anything to my stamina?
That didn't improve the stamina at all.
Ah, no. And now I've got... Hang on a second. There's the fox down there. I didn't spot him before. Help, fox, help. Well, he's not. He's just sat there. Right, next time I'm eating the fox. He's not a friend worth having, is he?
Yeah, he doesn't seem to do much.
Of course, there's no... Hang on, hang on, I ate the snake. He's here to help us anyway.
You did eat the snake. There's a very talented snake, then.
Ah. Oh, there's the net. Okay, but it doesn't slow me down. Am I actually supposed to be able to get away from these things? Because I move so ponderously slow. You died. Huh. Okay, I'm beginning to think that my actions have no consequences.
It does seem that way.
Because I can kind of see what they were thinking of doing, and actually it's quite effective. They show you what's going to happen. All right. So this time I'm gonna eat everything. Ah, that did restore some health.
Oh, okay.
Got him. I'm going to eat everybody. No, it's probably about all, so I don't eat it. Okay. I'm going to do that one. So that gave me some health too. Some stamina, rather.
Okay.
I'm definitely going to eat the snake because he's really annoying. Right. Here we go. And then we'll see if they turn up. Yummy. Yeah, so that gave us stamina as well.
It adds a tiny bit of stamina.
Right, so there's the fox back again. But
I assume that's why it says dialogue text, because the fox is supposed to be saying something to you there.
Yes. That would make sense. I honestly don't know. Oh, he got the hunter for us. So I definitely ate the snake. Oh, my life. Oh, it's evil. And now he's shooting at me while the dialogue is up. That's a bit off.
So it's interesting because I assume that the point is that if we have more stamina, we're supposed to then be able to pounce at the poachers and kill them.
See, I haven't tried killing a poacher yet.
The thing is that it takes so long to walk to the other end of that area that even if you have eaten everything, you're out of stamina by the time you reach it. So
yes. Oh, right. I'm gonna. All right. So Well,
we just eat everything because it doesn't matter.
yeah, I think so. Let's do that. Let's eat the mouse. So did you notice that thing at the top is stopping me going through until I go through the dialogues, I think. So once I click on that, the fence disappears.
So it is.
So in fact, let's try it now. So I'm going to have to do it on the one where he's shooting me. So can I go through without talking to him? No. All right, so a little bit of effort to control my agency and force me to engage with the story. So shall I try and eat one of these horrible hunters?
Let's try it.
Oh, he's running away.
He runs away. Okay.
He runs away.
So you can't.
So I can't. All right. Stop. Don't pause me while they're shooting at me. Oh, my life. Oh, it's still doing it. Right. Ow. The buckshot ones are horrible. I died. Okay, what is it say in the game notes? Is there supposed to be a way of getting through this?
So what they say is that the idea is that when you get to that final section with a bunch of poachers, you have to run to the end and defeat the leader, which is the one in red, to escape.
Okay.
And it says that, you know, as you go through and talk to the other animals, if you don't eat them, they're supposed to help you.
Yeah. To
make things easier. Which the snake definitely does, but it does it whether or not you eat it. And it's not clear what the other two animals do.
So I'm not using my pounce power to get past at the end, so maybe I should use that to see if I can escape, because that might help.
Okay, so having stamina also allows you to regenerate health, apparently.
Okay.
And to pounce. But again, like, unless eating the poachers regenerates your stamina...
Can I pounce on the...
I don't see how you could possibly have enough stamina to pounce by the time you reach the leader.
Yeah.
Because it drains very quickly.
Oh, I didn't want to do that. Get off me! Oh, look, I got absolutely massacred when the... Oh, blimey. I've never run out of stamina, so I haven't got any pounce. Oh, dear. Yeah, okay. I'm going to have one more go at this, and then we can start going through the mark scheme. Because it could just be me being a bit bad, but... I mean, that's entirely plausible, right? But, yeah. It just seems to me like it's... Maybe it's because they're not helping me. Maybe that's the whole point, is that, they should all be helping me. We come here.
Well, obviously when you walk past the snake, it talks to you, and it helps you, whether or not it's been eaten.
Yeah.
And then when you get to that at the very beginning, the fox, like, it brings up the dialogue text, and the fox is there. So I think it's supposed to be saying something to you. Yeah. It's supposed to be helping in some way. It's just not working.
Have we seen the mouse?
We have not seen the mouse. I assume that the mouse is supposed to be the one that deals with that net, but again, there's nothing there to say that.
Oh, it's so annoying that dialogue pops up and freezes you.
So, using the pounce doesn't drain stamina.
That's interesting.
The stamina drains naturally over time. So you might as well just pounce as far, like, all the way to the end. Oh, yeah.
Got him! The end! Brilliant.
Okay.
So it is achievable. I was just a bit useless. Alright. So, I'll have a go again, and this time I'll save everybody, and we'll see if we can see any effects. Right, but while I'm doing that, should we start with the presentation?
Sure. So that's for the information design and the aesthetics.
So, I mean, the graphics are very basic, but I mean they are sort of consistent. The lion's very fuzzy, and the mouse isn't.
Well, and there's clearly been an attempt to make the lion resemble a lion with the mane and the tail.
Yes.
But none of the other animals, I guess they're coloured.
Yeah.
Like the fox is orange, but other than that, they're just
so it's
boxes.
It's very basic, and it's not quite as consistent. I mean, given how basic it is, you'd think they could achieve. But the fact that stuff looks like it's scaled up badly. So I mean, that's not terrible, and you can see what's going on.
Well, to be fair, so for instance, that the nightmare sequence at the very beginning, until the lion said he'd had a nightmare, and later we heard about the poachers, we had no idea what that was about.
Yes.
So
the lion does speak at the beginning and say, "Oh, that was a nightmare," but he doesn't. You're right. He doesn't say kind of what it is. There's no music at all.
Okay.
There's no music. There's no sound effects. There's no nothing, and that's a shame because you'd have thought it'd be relatively easy. I mean, even if you recorded yourself going "rah" and then played it every time you pressed the pounce button, I mean, it's just put something in. It makes such a difference.
It does. So for the presentation, if we start at pass. So a pass is that there is some attempt at information design, consistent but poorly chosen graphics, and some poorly chosen audio.
Yeah, got him.
Which,
yeah, so
it definitely hits some of those. Like the graphics are fairly consistent.
Well, let's think about the information design for a minute. So we've got the stamina and the health bar. They're pretty clear, aren't they?
Yeah.
You've got anything else? You can see the shots and everything are affected. You can see where they are and what the spread is.
We've got the dialogue and the instructions at the beginning are.
Yeah, it's a shame about the dialogue text box at the bottom, but that's just clearly something that's not quite been cleared away.
So it's not obvious what the stamina does at the start, but I'm not sure if that's information design or tutorializing.
So what was the pass criteria again?
So pass criteria is there is some attempt at information design, consistent but poorly chosen graphics, and some poorly chosen audio, which
So
it meets some of.
So what would the audio presumably would be down at the absent or?
So absent or poorly chosen audio is for poor.
Yeah. Okay. So all right. So in fact, it seems to me like the audio is more like the poor level, and then so the graphics are probably at the pass. The information design is very simple, but it's okay. It works. It's probably a bit higher than pass. So maybe overall presentation is a pass.
Yeah, it's very hard to It's hard to tell whether some of for instance, the fact that we don't know what the other animals are actually doing in that final scene.
Yeah.
Like, arguably that could be information design, but that might just be that might be a bug because, for instance, the dialogue with the fox just doesn't work.
Yes, it's sort of okay. So I think that's okay. So I think overall it's a pass. Yeah.
I think I would say it's maybe a step lower than that, like in between poor and pass.
Well, I was kind of lifting it up because of the information design, which is very straightforward, but it does kind of work.
I suppose, but I think the main issue I have with this is that none of the characters other than the lion, it's not at all clear what they are until you see them and the name comes up.
Yeah.
And so for instance with this, we had no idea what was happening there with the little purple blob coming out until you find out it's a snake by talking to it, which isn't ideal.
No, it's not. Okay, let's put it down between the two. I think it's
okay. So the next one is gameplay, mechanics and controls.
So it's very slow and ponderous, but it does work. And being slow and ponderous is sort of the point, I suppose, because you're a lion and you've got to pounce, which is quite good.
Yeah.
So I think the controls are kind of okay, really.
Okay. So I guess.
But the other aspect of gameplay is the mechanics, right?
Yes.
So do we have a good set of mechanics? So what we got is we can move around and we can pounce and we can. So it's quite simple in terms of what you can do. So what would be satisfactory for gameplay?
So satisfactory would be there is a set of mechanics, there are usable controls, and it leads to some meaningful play. Okay. I don't know about the meaningful play aspect of it.
Yeah, what would pass be?
So pass is that there is few or inconsistent mechanics.
Yeah.
Challenging controls, which lead to limited meaningful play.
So I think that we are on limited meaningful play, but I think the controls are okay. So perhaps halfway between a pass and satisfactory.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Halfway.
Yeah. Okay. So that takes us on to bugs.
Yes.
Right. So. So clearly it's not keeping track properly of our decisions.
No.
So it's not game breaking, but since that's sort of the whole point.
Yeah, I would argue it is because the whole idea is that it's supposed to be.
Well, I was going to say
your decisions matter.
I was going to say
and also the fox can just leave the screen here.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't think it's game breaking, but I do think it counts as a serious bug because it defeats the theme of the game. And you're right, we've got lots of little minor bugs. There's the weird dialogue thing, the fact the fox doesn't stay on the screen properly. So what would a pass be for bugs?
So pass is the game is playable but is either simple or there are frequent serious bugs.
So in this case we've kind of got I was going to say we kind of got both, but yeah, what would a poor be?
So poor would be the game runs, but is either very simple or serious bugs make the game almost unplayable.
It's probably between that. It's better than a poor, isn't it? But probably not quite up to a pass.
Okay, is that right? That is the right one.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so now we're on to the kind of the brief, which was to create a game with a story engine. So the idea of the story engine is that decisions you make in the narrative affect the game world, and things you do in the game world affect the narrative. So in their game notes, they were asked to comment on that. So what do they say is going on?
So they say that you'll have to catch multiple animals, which, and when you catch them, you have a short dialogue, and then you can choose whether to eat the animal or let it live. Eating recovers your stamina, which allows you to pounce and regenerate health.
Yeah.
But letting the animal go will cause the animal to come back and help the player in the final segment.
Okay, so have they answered the question, or was that it?
That's all they say.
Oh, okay, all right. So they kind of described the game, but they haven't really said clearly. All right, well, we can figure this out, right? So what are the ways in which the narrative choices are? Do you eat the animals or not? And if you don't, then, or if you do, it does have consequences, right? So it has two consequences. One is it changes your stamina, and the other one is that they should come back and help you at the end, although that doesn't work, right? So I think the intention was there to make narrative choices affect the game world, right? Do any game world things affect the story? Does anything you do in game? I mean,
other than the fact that if you die, the story ends. No.
No. So I think what we have here is an example of the narrative of it going one way only, right? So the narrative is kind of affecting the game world, and unfortunately, that's where one of their bugs is, one of their more serious problems.
Yes.
So it only has very minimal impact. So what would pass be for story engine?
So pass is that it's a basic story engine with poor integration into the game world. So there are very few examples where the story impacts the game world or is impacted by events from the game world.
Yeah. And what would poor be?
So poor would be there is some support for story elements in the game, but no real story engine. So the story has no real impact on the game world and is not really impacted by events there.
So it's better than poor. I think it's edging up towards a pass, but I think because we've only got one example that works, it's probably halfway between the two. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, because I suppose that the fact that your decisions don't actually affect anything, is that counts as a bug rather than
they do though.
Design.
So it affects your stamina.
Yeah, I suppose you can either choose to
it,
have higher
right?
stamina or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I think then
so that's
halfway
it.
between.
That's the only one. But I think that gives them some. Okay, so that kind of takes us on to agency. So the agency was about whether or not they had. Can I eat the other hunters? No. The agency was about whether they. Oh, I've messed up now, haven't I? The agency was about how many choices you get. So is this a game with multiple choices? And are those choices meaningful? And do they manage our agency? So this is kind of interesting because there are multiple choices, right? Do you help the snake? Do you help the fox? Do you help the mouse? They are kind of interesting in that they're not kind of internal moral choices, which are the really interesting ones, right? But they're more like apples and oranges types choices. Do you want the stamina or do you want the snake to help you? And they're kind of framed in a narrative way, but that does make them better than just a kind of obvious choice.
I think it's hard to tell, partly because obviously we don't know what actually happens. For instance, with that net, what was supposed to happen if you eat the mouse?
Yeah,
because. I guess it's possible that they could have just decided, the lion can't get past the net, and so if you eat the mouse, you die.
Yeah,
but
it's difficult to know.
We don't know.
So there are multiple choices. They are kind of interesting, and they have got some methods of managing agency. They've got these barriers. I'm stuck in one now, which stops you going forward. So actually, they've not done too badly in terms of this. So what would satisfactory be?
Satisfactory would be an interactive story with several branching points and some interesting choices.
Yeah. So I think they're kind of I think they're kind of. It's the interesting choices. Like how interesting is the choice is maybe a problem, but
also
I think they're kind of there.
This comes to the description for Pass, for instance, is an interactive story with some branching points but few interesting choices. So it comes down to. What is the difference between some branching points and several, and few interesting and some interesting choices? Yeah,
it's just the volume, isn't it? The other thing I'm guessing is that it's good is where it starts talking about attempts to manage agency. Is that right? So I think that they're kind of, although it's very simple, that lifts them up as well. The fact that they have these barriers in place. So I actually think that maybe if it wasn't for that, they might be. Kind of at the at the pass, or maybe halfway between pass and satisfactory, but maybe because of that we should say we'll give them benefit of the doubt and we'll give them a satisfactory for agency.
Okay. I think.
I think
happy with that.
I think we could be hard nosed and say that you don't actually, because your choices don't have consequences, you have no agency. But clearly the design is there that you would have. So I think, and we've penalised them for the bugs already. So I think we'll let them off basically, and we'll give them something based on the design that they intended. So that takes us on to the kind of the design elements, of which the first one was the poetics, which is about does the gameplay help tell the story effectively. So this is clearly the Lion and the Mouse, right? So it's a fable about, no kindness is wasted. Helping somebody smaller and less powerful than you could still end up being an advantage to you later, basically. They have captured that, haven't they?
Yeah, it's a very literal interpretation of it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Very
have got the theme.
Very few games have kind of have kind of taken the plot almost and run with it. I suppose they've added in a few extra animals, but yeah, it is a very literal interpretation. But it is kind of there. So yes, this idea that you can kind of discount these animals, treat them as energy sources, and just eat them, versus actually treating them as kind of potentially helpful individuals. I think because they've taken a fairly literal interpretation, it works quite well. What would satisfactory be for Poetics?
So a satisfactory for Poetics is that narrative and gameplay do not interfere with one another, but the key mechanics have little to do with the themes of the story.
So I think they're better than that.
Yeah.
So what would good be?
So good is that narrative and gameplay complement one another as the key mechanics are in keeping with the themes of the story.
Yeah, I think that's right. So good. What would excellent be?
Excellent is that narrative and gameplay support one another as the mechanics emphasize the themes of the story.
So I think the difficulty here is that the if you think about the mechanics themselves rather than the story, right? So the problem is that the game, because it's set up as the story, right?
Yeah.
The game supports the story because it is the scenes of the story, right? But if you think about the mechanics, which are running around and pouncing, right? Do they support the themes of the story? And I would say that they. So do they? Do they support it? Do they actually contribute to it? Or the one below was, do they have no impact on it? And I would say that they're kind of supporting, but not actually contributing to the story. It's kind of how I think of it.
I think I would look at this and say, I think the only way in which mechanically it's actually kind of supporting the story is that, the connection between your ability to pounce and eating other creatures.
Yeah.
Like, if it wasn't for that, I think they would just be, like, they're next to each other and that's fine.
Yes.
So then the fact that, for instance, the stamina bar drains so quickly that whether or not you eat the other animals doesn't really affect how much stamina you have in the end.
Oh, I think it does, actually. I mean, you have to race through. I think one of the problems is that the first time you go through it and you read everything, the problem is that my stamina's going down while this is up. So what it means is the first time I play, I'm going to lose all my stamina because I'm reading all the stuff. And it's only when I go through on subsequent playthroughs and I can just nip through the dialogue with it and ignore it effectively.
And I think in that way, like, I guess that's a good point, is that the fact that the stamina continues to drain during the story actually kind of works against it because it prevents you from experiencing the story properly.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're telling the story through the mechanics, right? Which is what the excellent would be. So the question is, do the mechanics, the running around and pouncing to restore stamina and eating animals to restore stamina, does that support the story? And I think it does in a limited way, right?
I think it is intended to, but the way it's been implemented kind of undercuts the goal.
Yeah.
And I guess the question there is, although the intention may well have been there, like, if they haven't successfully implemented them in a way that actually, connects them to the story.
Well, I would suggest that maybe the easiest thing is to compromise and to say that we end up being halfway between satisfactory and good, right? There's clearly an attempt to have some mechanics which support the story. They just don't quite work.
Okay.
So I think, I think they've thought it through, right? So here's another interesting one, which is the techniques. So this is basically to do with the pacing of the story and the way in which the narrative elements are told. So what's interesting is this beginning bit here is essentially a scripted event. It's very simple,
yes,
but it is definitely a way of telling the story. So I think they do have multiple ways of getting the story across. They've got the dialogue and these kind of thought bubbles that pop up, and they've got that scripted event. So I think they are telling the story through multiple techniques, right?
Yes.
In terms of the pacing, what do you think? How do you think the story's paced?
So I guess if we go through it, so that cutscene at the beginning is very sudden, and a lot is happening.
Yeah. It's not particularly well executed, but it is there.
Yeah, I think because of the way it's presented, I think it comes across mainly confusing rather than exciting. But that's clearly meant to be a very immediate high point of tension. And then you've got I think while you're going through the forest and just capturing one animal at a time, things kind of calm down, and then you have this big climax at the end where there's lots of things shooting at you.
Yeah.
So there is definitely pacing.
There is definitely pacing. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's kind of the one with a complex multiple peaks and troughs, but it's there. So what would satisfactory be for techniques?
Satisfactory would be there is some ascending pacing, and use of at least one game writing technique.
And what would good be?
So, good would be ascending pacing with a clear final peak and use of more than one game writing technique, which I think they've met there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's a good.
So to get up to excellent, they would need to have more than one peak and consistent use of more than one game writing technique. So I don't think they're there.
No, but yeah, still good. I think good to have a variety of things. Yeah. Okay, so that brings us to feedback.
Yes. So let's see. So they've said that one of the pieces of feedback they received was to make sure that the gameplay is engaging throughout the course of the game rather than just at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently initially they were only going to have all of the movement and mechanics and stuff in that final scene, and before that it was just going to be a dialogue tree essentially where you talk to the animals one after another.
Okay, all right. Oh yeah.
After the feedback, they decided to add
these sections.
So make it so you have to actually catch the animals before you can talk to them.
I think that was a good choice. Although it's a shame that they've got these three different movements. So the fox runs about, the snake just sits there, and the mouse goes up and down. It would have been nice if they'd made them a little bit more challenging. But yes, I think that was well done. Did they say anything else?
So apparently the other piece of feedback they received was to decide on a core dynamic and to make sure that it's clear.
Okay.
Because originally they weren't sure what the core dynamic would be. So they said that they've decided that they wanted to make it a survival game.
Yeah.
And apparently in the original idea they would you have to solve puzzles to help animals instead of chasing them. So they decided to replace that with hunting down the animals and deciding whether or not to eat them or
consistent.
not.
So
I'm not sure that it is a survival game.
No, it not really. So I think the first bit of feedback they gave there was actually pretty good, right? They articulated it well, and the changes they've made, I think, definitely worked. I think it is significantly better because you are hunting down those the first set of three animals. It kind of puts the whole game in the whole narrative then becomes embodied in the world, and it makes sense. The second one, you're right. I think concentrating on either your hunting stuff or your puzzling, that's sensible, right? And it would have been quite a mixture of stuff otherwise. But yeah, I'm not quite sure they've quite understood the core dynamic. So what would satisfactory be for feedback?
Satisfactory is that feedback was articulated. Some changes have been made with partial success.
Yeah. Okay. And what would pass be?
So pass is that the feedback was not well articulated, but some changes have been made with limited success. And
so it's kind of, for me, it feels maybe halfway between, or it's just below satisfactory, I think. It just depends how much we think that they've. I mean, in fairness, other than misidentifying the core dynamic, I think they've described it.
I think
so. Maybe satisfactory.
Yeah, because I guess the first thing, as you said, adding the having to catch the animals was a good change.
Yeah.
So that does, I suppose, make it partial success. One thing worked, and the other thing that they. Yeah. Right, it's not so much it didn't work; they were just wrong about the core dynamic.
Yeah. Let's go.
Okay, so satisfactory.
Satisfactory, I think. Okay. All right. We should probably move on to our next game, but yeah, I kind of very simple. And lots of things that they could have polished up and improved on. But I think the core idea of what they were trying to do was actually quite nice, and it's just a shame they didn't quite get it working. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so our second game is called Escapism. Oh, so I get a welcome to the prison. Speak to James, your cellmate, by pressing E to get started.
Oh.
But I can press continue. Okay, so... Oh, so it doesn't tell me, but it's WAS to move. It did mention E, so... Hi, James. Good morning. Just heard your execution is scheduled in 5 minutes. Jesus, that's time to get out of here, I reckon. Yeah, I'd say. Have a look at that filing cabinet by pressing E. You might find something to help you escape. You might want to consider gaining the favour of other inmates to help you escape. If you want to pass the time, just jump into bed. It's spacebar to skip dialogue. Rude. By the way, if you ever need to drop something, just hit Q. Okay.
James is very upbeat for someone on death row.
We find a cell key. Alright.
Okay.
Okay. Can I use it on E, maybe? Oh. Hello. Ah, I could go and talk to these. Hacker, get me a coffee or you'll make me angry. Oh, fair enough.
We're in a prison. Where are we supposed to get coffee from?
No. I'm a bit suspicious with the guard gone. Ah! Oh, got me. What are you doing out of your cell?
So
get back in there. He's very lax though.
Oh. So there's a timer counting down under the minimap. Right.
Get me a coffee. Where's he gone? I get out.
I guess he's...
A very short-sighted guy. Hang on a minute. Oh, I can get out of there, can I? Oh, what's this? Get me a coffee. Can I get out there? No. Can you see anything else to interact with?
I cannot. Maybe we need to talk to James. Maybe he knows where the coffee is.
Oh, pressing E with the... Yeah, no, I'm not. The cabinet's not the problem, James. Oh, can I... Oh, I can get out the door. Oh, it's that E, whole E thing. Well, let's just get out of here. Why am I
The door just wasn't locked.
No. I'm going to run away. Run away. Run away. Oh, I'm not sure this is going to work.
Got a almost prison architect kind of
okay, so
aesthetic.
Now I'm quite lost. P? What's in here?
I think...
That looks like,
that looks like a kitchen. Oh, they might have coffee.
You there, I need a smoke break. Find me Spuds, will you?
Oh no.
Okay.
Wait, Spuds?
Find nothing. You find nothing. You find nothing. Oh, these all stupid different things, are they? Oh, hang on. Perhaps one of them did have potatoes in. It's a bit annoying that I have to click to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Also, the controls are a bit... Oh, I found potatoes. There we go.
They were in his cupboards. You should know where they are.
Perfect,
he's the chef.
Thanks. All right, but what's he's not done anything for me. Don't know why I bothered. All right, so
just
the chef. I was
being
hoping,
nice, I guess.
I was hoping the chef would have some coffee.
So, I can't read any of the stuff on the minimap.
Hang on a minute. How did he see me?
There seems to be...
I didn't go near his coat. Was I that near his coat?
Buildings built into the wall based on the minimap. I don't know if maybe those are exits.
Do you know what? I hadn't even noticed the minimap. How pathetic's that? Ah, common room. Cafeteria. Oh, we ought to go to the common room, surely. That's where we can get a coffee. Now this is all of a sudden this is making being a lot easier. Hang on. It would be if there was anything in the common room. There's an office. Any coffee machine? What are these? Hello. Well, I've got a thing, but I don't know what it is.
It's...
Oh, I found a guard, something or other. The completely separate little interface for the dialogues is a problem. Oh, I've got a guard badge, so I can get in. What's that?
You need to press Q to drop the thing, don't you?
Ah.
I guess you can only carry one thing at once.
It didn't tell me. What's that thing then?
I guess it's coffee?
Is it coffee?
It looks like a side shot of a coffee cup.
Could be a coffee.
A coffee that has been spilled.
Is this the yard? Yeah, let's go in here. Is this a coffee? This mysterious thing? Thanks for the coffee. Great. What's the hacker doing for me again? Remember? Ah, it gives me an exit at the top. No, that's not the exit. That's the floor of the cafeteria. Security office, maybe? We've only got 10 seconds. Hello? Corrupt guard. Head inside. Find my baton. There's his baton.
Okay.
I'm going to run out of time. I ran out of time. Oh, chef helped you out and supplied you with sharp knives. Hack helped you out by assembling the main gate. There's still a fence off the gate. Who is strong enough to throw you over? Okay, so I'm finding the dialogue thing very, very frustrating.
Yeah.
I wish it would just go away when I did the next thing. But other than that, okay, get me a coffee. So I go down here. Run away. Right.
It's very entertaining watching this over the stream because I can't read any of the text because of how small it is.
Strongman, who are you? Actually, does I don't care. Spot me on this bench, will you? Where's the bench?
What?
Thanks. 1, 2, 3, 22. Okay, 77, 78. How much can this I do? 100. Thanks, mate. Now clear off. All right. So we've helped the strongman out.
He did 100 reps in about 4 seconds. That's very impressive.
He does say he's a strongman. Where did we find the coffee?
It was in the office, I think.
That was over here. Yeah. That was it. I had to do a thing. There's a badge, so I can get through the door with the badge. I can drop the badge. I can pick up the coffee. Yeah. Okay. So I go through here. Okay. Thanks for the coffee. It doesn't do anything for me. It's a bit strange. Oops. You got me. Oops. Do you think he's not suspicious at all? He's fine. Okay. In some ways, I'm
I'm curious to know what that corrupt guard was going to do for you.
Oh yeah, let's go and help the chef.
Yeah. Oh yes. He gave us knives, it said, but it wasn't made clear what the knives were for.
The knives also. I'm not quite sure I got the same thing. Ooh. Bring my potatoes already. All right. I thought potatoes are up here, but perhaps they weren't. But find nothing.
Maybe they might be that they moved from different playthroughs.
There's nothing worse than moving potatoes. Oh, found a potato. Right, there you go. That's right. It doesn't say what he gives us, does it? I don't think it did.
Yeah, I don't think it tells you how people help you until the very end, which.
And then, oh, who's that? There?
I guess means it's.
Get me out of here. Find some keys. I'm weirdo. I'm not sure.
Oh, the corrupt guard gives you a key, doesn't he? Maybe you need to talk to him to get.
Oh, I thought he gave us the key for the office. Take these keys and head inside. Find my baton. Right.
I don't know. Maybe the keys work for everything.
Okay. Pick up his. Find my baton already. Well, that must be his baton. I can't pick the baton up. Doesn't seem to do anything. You find nothing. Perhaps there's something else. Found a solitary key.
Oh, that must be the one for the weirdo.
Let's try.
Because he's in solitary. That makes sense.
Let's go and let the weirdo out. Hello. Thanks. Okay, ideas?
Have you been in every building?
Yeah, he wants his baton. Yeah, well, I can't pick it up. That must be his baton, surely.
That's what I assumed.
Yeah, so I'm hitting the... Ah, got it. It was just something...
Okay.
Something about the hitbox. Right, here we go. I don't really care. Marvellous. Right, how do I get out?
I don't know. It might just be that you have to...
You said about a strong man to throw us over the walls or something.
It might be that we just need to wait now. Because we've been in every building.
Oh, you reckon it's... done everything?
Maybe talk to James. Maybe he can let you escape early.
Oh. No, James doesn't seem to notice what I've done. Get me a coffee. We did get me coffee, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, I think we just need to wait for the timer to run down now.
Just wait it out. Because that's the strong man, isn't it? We talk to him. See if he's...
Yeah.
Leave me be, will you? Alright, I'm going to go back into my cell. Hello. Oh, I can sleep, it said, didn't I? Space to sleep?
Oh, yes, of course.
Chef helped you out and supplied you with sharp knives. Hacker helped you out by sewing the main gate. Strongman was over to help you all jump the fence and climb over himself. Chef helped you out and supplied you with sharp knives. Armed guard appeared, but Weirdo scared away. Hacker helped you out to descend the main gate. Up your squad and escape from prison in the nick of time. So I'm not quite sure. Something's going wrong here. But
yeah, I think
right.
Maybe because you slept so close to the end, it got confused. But
help you all and climb over himself. So I kind of like what they've kind of done here. So by putting a 5-minute timer on, it means you can play it multiple times, right? Even in the sort of 10 or 20 minute play time that we asked them for.
Yeah.
So I like the idea that you play the game, it then gives you you then see the narrative of the consequences of what happened as a result of what you've done, and then you can go back and try and do things a bit differently, right?
Yeah.
I like that. The only thing I think is a bit of a shame is it looks to me like they're all kind of just things that you have to do all of them, right? So it's like we've got the chef, the hacker, the strongman, the armed guard, and that was it, isn't it? So you got 4, yeah? Chef, hacker, strongman, armed guard. Yes. So you got 4 people you need to help.
Yes.
And if you help all
and the
of them,
weirdo.
Oh, and the weirdo. Yes, you're right. Yeah. So you got 5. So you just help them all, and then you escape. What would be more interesting is if there were different combinations of the 5 that had different interesting narrative outcomes. So maybe, for example, maybe you can, you can. So maybe the weirdo scares the guard away, but he also scares the strongman away, right? So you have to kind of find a way. Do you see what I mean? So there's kind of it's.
Yeah.
So it becomes more of a puzzle. It's more about how do I get these bits to fit together in an interesting way to solve the problem, right? To escape. And I think that would have been the basis of a really, really fun little puzzle game. But what they've done is they've given you something that's I think way too straightforward, right? So
it's essentially a checklist.
Yeah. So we'll just check that, right? So if I get the key and escape here, right, and then so let's say I get this guy's coffee. Oh, he's giving me the little dialogue bit. So he says, "Get me a coffee." So let's go and get him his coffee. Oops. Or in fact, we could do this guy with his reps, right?
He said that you can press space to skip the dialogue, so maybe you can do that instead of pressing continue.
Yes, you can actually. All right.
Okay, that's slightly less annoying.
So if I just go to bed. So all I've done is help the strong man. The lack of sharp tools in your escape failing. Who could help you out? So it doesn't even get me that far. It just tells me the first stage.
Okay.
So yeah, okay. So it's a list of things you have to get right, and whichever ones you get right, it tells you up to that point. Yeah, I like the idea, but I think they could have done something an order of magnitude more interesting by making these different things interact in interesting ways. So having a set of people who some of them you need to help, but some of them you need not to help, right? And you need to find the right combination of people in order to unlock the story successfully to aid with your escape. Yeah, and you could also have built it much more successfully around a kind of almost like a comedy. So funny stuff happens basically. The interactions between the people are kind of bizarre or kind of Python-esque or something. Yeah. So So I like what they've done, but at the same time I'm a little bit frustrated they haven't really run with it. Because I think they could have had something really, really cool. So, all right, let's start going through the mark scheme.
Sure. So the first part would be presentation, information design, and aesthetics.
So so that's basically the graphics, the audio, and information design.
So is there any audio?
Yeah, there's a little a music track that's running. There's no oh, there's a little sound effect as you open the door, actually.
Okay.
But there's no audio. There's no sound effects for things like the guards. So even when you're caught, for example, so that's a bit of a shame. But they've got some.
Yeah, and I think that the use of the addition of the minimap is very helpful because
yes, so that
it would be almost impossible to navigate without that.
It absolutely would be.
It's hard for me to tell on here, but it looks to me like it might be a little bit on the small side. I don't know whether it's a good size for you on an actual full-size screen.
It's okay, but yes, it could be better. I've got my potatoes. So
and I think that things like the timer underneath it and the dialogue boxes maybe could be more prominent, but they're not bad.
No, so
they're just maybe not quite as obvious as they could be.
So the information design, so that information's quite important. Have I done this guy yet? I can't remember. Right. So I'm going to go and sleep now. So I've helped the chef and I helped the strongman, but I've not done anything else. Let's see what happens.
It's interesting. There's only one bed in that room that the two of you are locked in.
Who could hack it open? Okay, so kind of. All right. So So what would?
Oh, it's meant to be a bunk bed.
What would good be for presentation?
So good would be that key information is shown clearly, graphics are consistent, and appropriate use of audio.
So I think that the key information is shown. It could be slightly better.
Yeah.
The audio's a little bit. There is a clunk there. It's a little bit bare bones, but it's kind of there. I think it just about hits good.
So satisfactory would be that the key information is shown, there is consistent graphics, and there is some audio. So maybe it's halfway between them.
Yeah, that's probably about right, actually.
Okay, so that's halfway between satisfactory and good. And I've put it in the right box this time.
Okay, so it's a bit like Groundhog Day, isn't it? You have to find the right combination of things.
So then, gameplay.
So gameplay. So that's kind of the mechanics.
Yes.
And the controls. So the controls are pretty good.
Yeah.
You're herring around a bit. It's quite difficult to. You're. Oh. I found nothing. Oh, there's over here. Okay.
Is this again where it changes position from playthroughs? Yeah. So that's a nice little touch.
How do I drop things again? Q. That works quite well. Let's get the hacker's coffee. But I mean the controls are pretty good. I feel like I'm kind of playing. In terms of in terms of the sets and mechanics, what can I do? I can walk around, I can interact with people, the guards send me back to my cell.
You can carry objects.
I can carry objects as a simple sort of inventory. I think that counts as a reasonable set of kind of mechanics. Yeah. So what would good be?
So good would be a set of complementary mechanics, smooth usable controls that lead to meaningful play.
So I do think I've got meaningful play, right? I kind of, like I said, I think it could be more sophisticated, but it is here. So I think we hit good. Have I been in here? Yes. I forgot what I'm doing now. I've done the strongman. I've done the guard. Did I get this? Yes.
I suppose. I think the main thing, the issue I would have had with that is I'm not sure exactly how meaningful it is. But I suppose that.
Well, I mean, it's stopped now a little bit because we've solved the puzzle, right?
Yeah.
But that's kind of okay because it's only a little. Oh, I keep forgetting that there's. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, so I think
even before you've solved the puzzles though, so say like for instance you go to the chef and he wants a potato and you're in a kitchen full of cupboards, like It's not so much a puzzle as go through all of the cupboards until you find the potato.
Well, I mean, it's still kind of your lack of sharp tools. Oh, that's annoying because I just got them. Okay. Perhaps I didn't. Perhaps I did click the hello thing or something.
And again, I suppose it depends on how smooth you would count the controls as, because, like, for instance, having to clear all the previous dialogue prompts before you do the next one is slightly rude.
That's true. That's true. So it's a little bit clumsy, maybe. But I still think I got kind of meaningful play. What was satisfactory?
So satisfactory would be a set of mechanics and usable controls that lead to some meaningful play.
So I think it's definitely there, and maybe on its way towards good. So maybe put it between the two.
Okay, between the two. Oh. There we go.
Okay, so that takes us to bugs.
Yes. So.
There we go. So there's some odd things. So like there, I found the potato first, and then he didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. I had to go back and talk to him again.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know whether that's a bug. It's just kind of a.
Yeah, that's just slightly. Slightly irritating more than a bug.
And the same with the dialogues, right? I mean, it's not that they're wrong.
I think there's been a couple of very minor graphical issues where, like, you can see cracks appear between the tiles occasionally, but that's not. It's not serious by any means.
Yeah.
I don't think we've found anything game breaking.
No. So it feels to me. So what would excellent be?
So excellent is the game is playable and is reasonably complex, and there are no obvious bugs. So I guess the question then is, how complex is it?
I think it's relatively complex. There's plenty of stuff going on. Oops. What happens to my coffee? I just keep it. It's very generous.
Okay.
I think it probably hits the excellent. I think it's fine. I can definitely play it. I forgot what I've done now. That's the only problem. I'm playing it so much. I'm like, have I done that on this playthrough? I can't remember.
Okay.
Let's go to bed and see what
I've
done. Oh, I haven't done the weirdo. I don't think.
I think so. Then we're okay. So we'll ignore the one tiny graphical issue that doesn't really matter. Excellent.
I think that's fine. Yeah.
Also, that's not. Yeah, I think that's more of just the way that Unity as an engine handles tiling.
Yes.
It pops up in a lot of different games.
Absolutely.
Okay, so excellent for bugs.
Yeah, I think so.
So then the next section is the brief.
Okay, so first up in the brief was the story engine, right? So this is effectively a question of does the narrative change the game world, and does the game world change the narrative? Right. So what do we think?
I think so. The game world very definitely changes the narrative because the people you interact with change whether or not you escape.
Yes. So that's definitely
I don't
true.
think it goes the other way around though.
So if I change something in the game world, does it change? Oops. A second. That's right.
Because
do I remember? Yay! There we go. That's what we're supposed to do. There's the correct 5 things. Yeah. So you're right. So for example, in the game world, if I get the coffee cup and take it to the hacker, it changes the story outcome. Right. So that's an example that we're in. So, but do I make any narrative decisions which change the game world?
Well, you don't really make the only narrative decisions you really make is whether or not to talk to a person.
Yeah.
There's no
choices
really.
or options. No. So I think this is probably where the more complex structure of saying you have to choose which people to talk to would have helped, right?
It's
because if you actually think about and we'll get to this in a minute, if you think about the choices you have, right? What choices do you have in this game, right? You either do them and win, or don't do them and fail.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think that the choices going from the narrative to the game world are lacking.
So a satisfactory for story engine then
Yeah.
is a simple story engine that has limited integration with the game world. So there are some examples where the story impacts the game world or is impacted by events from the game world.
It's there. And with the premise that they've got, it's actually a little bit harder to hit what we were asking for the story engine. And I think the way to do it would have been to have some interaction between the people, right? So, for example, you kind of, a choice you make in terms of helping somebody opens up another room in the prison, and gives you access to it. I mean, I suppose you do that with the keys, though, don't you? So, yeah, but it's not really a narrative decision.
No.
It's a mechanical decision.
But say, even if you had very limited amounts of talking to or helping, or maybe talking to in certain ways, well, like one character may affect how another character reacts to you. So maybe, as you suggested, maybe the strongman and the weirdo really don't get along.
Yeah. So you might have had some kind of interaction where if you'd previously spoken to the weirdo, the strongman would react differently to what you've done, basically. Yeah. That's the way to do it, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So I think satisfactory is kind of where it has to be then, unfortunately. Okay.
This brings us on to the agency.
Now, agency is really interesting.
Yeah.
Because we asked them for an interactive story with meaningful choices and a way of managing player agency.
Yes.
And what they do is they give you a mechanical puzzle with a narrative payoff, right?
Yeah. If I was going to be slightly grumpy, which I always am, I would say there are no choices in this game.
No, I think you might be right. I mean, there aren't even any calculation choices, right? Because you have to do everything. Yeah. So again, if you had a situation where there were 10 characters and you had to find the right 5 to get you out, then you have a choice. Do I help this character or not? Right. But there are no choices. I have to help everybody in order to succeed. So, yeah.
I suppose technically there is a branch in the at the end you win or you lose, but that's a very generous description of a branch.
So I think there is no agency.
Yeah.
And the choices are not interesting because they're all mechanical choices. So again, how would you have solved that problem? Well, what you might have done is you might have had your 10 people, and maybe you need to make 5 of them the right 5 to get out. But maybe there are a couple more in there which don't actually help you, but they don't hinder you. And you have to, it's a moral choice as to whether you still try to do it, right?
Yeah. So for instance, it says here that everyone who helps you also escapes. It says you gather up your squad and escape.
Yeah.
So it could be even that there could be, say, a trade-off between some of the solutions require maybe more people, or you can take more people along, but maybe that increases the chances of you being caught.
There's a simpler solution, but it means that one horrible murderer escapes and goes on a rampage or something, right? So again, there are ways of doing it, but they just haven't done it. And in terms of managing agency, there is no agency to manage. What would absent be?
So absent is a story with no branches or choices of consequence. I stressed that sentence very strangely.
What would poor be?
Poor is an interactive story with few branching points, few interesting choices, and player agency is problematic. And I don't think that we can say they've met poor because there are no branching points and no interesting choices.
Well, other than the one we said, which was you have to do the things in order to, if you can choose to go to sleep, that's your choice, right?
It's like, I suppose, but that's like saying that in Pac-Man you could choose to be eaten by the ghosts.
Choose to fail. Well, it's more like in Pac-Man, you could... Yeah, okay, the analogy doesn't work. But maybe you could choose to finish the level without eating all the... Well, you can, I suppose, in some of them, can't you? Choose to finish the level without eating all the pips, right? That's your choice. Yeah. I'm struggling to give them anything other than absent. I think it has to be. So there is one that is below absent, which is essentially 0. I'd like to give them the absent category, which is a bit up from that, because I can see what they're trying to do, and because you do have to make these stages. Do I help this person or not? So even though they're not real choices, I still think I would put them in the absent category, but not on rock bottom.
I suppose if you're interpreting it very generously, you could say there's the illusion of choice.
Exactly, yeah. Ah, dear. Okay, right. So what's next?
So next is poetics.
So this is, do the mechanics help tell the story effectively?
Yeah.
So, what story do we think they're doing here? Which fable? The Lion and the Mouse, I guess?
Yes, that's what they claim.
Help a bunch of people and then they come back and help you?
Yeah.
So that is a kindness is never wasted.
Yes.
Right?
And so, I mean, again, this is another one where it's a very literal interpretation of the theme, I guess. You help a bunch of people and then they immediately help you escape.
Yeah.
Although they also help themselves escape, so.
Yeah.
They at least are not being super generous.
Yes. So I'm trying to think of any other interesting combinations of things. I haven't done the strongman. There he goes. Yeah. All right. Well, let's think about this for a second. So. Again, it comes down to what the actual mechanics are. So the mechanics are exploring, finding stuff, and kind of unlocking this combination lock to escape within the time limit. So the timer element.
Yeah.
So I don't think any of those things are to do with the story.
Yeah, I don't think any of them go against it.
No, definitely
it's
not.
Just the,
so, and you might argue that the overall setup, right, is certainly in the spirit of the story. So it feels like maybe, like our last one, it's kind of halfway between satisfactory and good. It's kind of it's not quite supporting the story, but it's probably a little bit more than just completely neutral.
I don't know. I'm really struggling to see any way in which the mechanics actually help the story.
Only that the whole thing is set up in the same, with that same structure. So it's set up as a series of fetch quests, effectively, to gain the help of other people. So it's kind of the actual thing, the micro things you're doing aren't in the spirit of the story. You're kind of the core what do you call it, the gameplay loop. But the overall, the higher level stuff kind of is. So I think that's why I'm saying halfway between the two.
Okay. Halfway between satisfactory and good.
I think so.
Okay.
Okay, so what's next?
Techniques. So the storytelling techniques. Pacing and how they have presented the narrative.
Ah, that's interesting. Yeah.
So, in terms of the different game writing techniques, we've got, you talk to people and you've got that dialogue in the corner.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, and also I guess at the very beginning, you have that kind of text summary of what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if those count as separate techniques, though.
I don't think so. They're all told in the same way, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I got a key or not at this point. It's sort of the way it deals with multiple items seems a bit strange.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, no, I think it uses one method to kind of to tell. Well, it's got the bit at the end right, which arguably is a cutscene. It's a cutscene with just some text, but you could argue that's so it's kind of got like a method and a half, right, of telling the story.
And then so the other question then is how is the pacing?
I can't get him out. I'm gonna go to sleep and see what happens. I'm running out of time. So obviously the timers are interesting and kind of. There's a key there.
Oh, there's a key there. For some reason.
I don't know why that's there. I'm gonna see what happens. Alright, so this is a way of telling the story which is different, right? So
yeah.
And you can imagine in a real game that this would be accompanied with kind of some sort of graphics, right? Or kind of but it's fine not to do that in the prototype. Okay, so we've kind of got sort of, one... I think that counts as multiple types, actually. We've got multiple types of telling the story. The pacing, then... So we start off in the cell, we've got a little tutorial bit to get out of the cell, so that arguably is a bit quieter. But then we're straight into the main game. There is no peak at the end, so other than that, it's basically flat. What would satisfactory be, then?
So satisfactory would be that there is some ascending pacing and use of at least one game writing technique.
Okay, so it feels to me that we're going to end up at like the pacing is going to be a pass and the techniques is going to be a good, I would guess.
Yeah, so a pass is that the pacing is unclear or flat, which I think it probably is. Yeah. And there's partially successful attempt to use at least one game writing technique. But I think they've successfully used the dialogues.
So good would be use of multiple techniques, right?
Use of more than one technique and ascending pacing with a clear final peak.
So I think one is at a pass, one is at good. Therefore, we'll give them a satisfactory. I think. Okay. So this is interesting. So what did they say for their feedback?
Let's see what the feedback was. Okay, so apparently it was suggested they include more inmates to interact with, and so they've added a few more prisoners and corresponding favours. Yeah. Which is interesting, because there's not many to start with. Well, there's not many now.
And in fact, our suggestion was that they add more and then make some of them optional. But yeah.
So we don't. They've not said how many they started with, but apparently it was not many.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's. Make sure that the textures and images don't have any intellectual property issues.
Okay.
So they replaced some copyrighted images with their own textures, apparently.
Okay.
And then, all the sound and music they made themselves, apparently.
Oh, very nice. Well, okay. Then
and as I mentioned earlier, they've written, we were told to ensure that this game does in fact have a story. So they responded by developing their escape sequence to be ideally interesting to read and also suspenseful, which I'm not sure I agree with that description of it.
No, it's.
I mean, it does have a story.
Yeah, but it's like a reverse premise, right? That's the problem.
Yeah.
So I think we might have found a bug here. I've got a feeling that key over here was the key for the cell.
Oh, it's just spawned in the
It's just spawned in the wrong place. Yeah.
I wonder. I guess it's possible if that. Given that this is like the start area, it might just be that is the origin, and so it's.
Yeah.
It's just spawned at the 0
point. I can't get it.
Oh, okay. So we found one bug.
So we found a bug. So I think we have to knock them down a little bit on the bugs. Just take them down a level. Yeah. Okay. So in terms of
if that prevents you from finishing the game,
which it will do,
then I guess that's technically a serious bug.
Yeah.
Which would bring them down to satisfactory.
Was that infrequent serious bugs, is it?
Yeah, because good means there can only be minor bugs.
Yeah. Well,
which
it depends.
Is a shame.
So it depends, right? It stops you completing the game, but it doesn't stop you playing the game. So it depends what you mean by game breaking, right?
I think because it stops you from being able to achieve the win state. I think I would definitely count that as serious, at least.
So what is good? What's the definition of good for bugs?
So good is that the game is playable and reasonably complex. There are only minor bugs, and these are uncommon.
Yeah.
And then satisfactory is there are infrequent serious or frequent minor bugs.
Okay, I think you're right. I think strictly speaking, it would be satisfactory. Given that there's only this one bug, and it doesn't break the whole game. It just stops you get to the end state. Put it between the two. Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it.
I think that's fair.
Okay, so let's finish up with the feedback. So they basically talked about putting the story in. And I mean, it kind of worked. As I said, it's the reverse of the premise, right? So instead of having the story up front, you kind of have the story at the end, and you're building towards it. But they haven't integrated it. They haven't made it an interactive story in this way.
Yeah.
So what would pass be for feedback?
So the pass is that the feedback was not well articulated, but some changes have been made with limited success.
Okay.
So I don't know about that because it's been long enough that I don't remember. I don't know who actually spoke to them in the labs, so I don't know how well the feedback has been articulated.
But the point is they've
said, they've stated what they were told, but it seems that they don't necessarily have a strong idea of why.
Yeah, or what it means, or how to deal with it. Yeah. So I mean, I'm kind of thinking. So yeah. So what was satisfactory again? It was that they've.
Satisfactory is that feedback was articulated and some changes have been made with partial success. So I think I'd probably put it between the two.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think
they've added a few more prisoners and favors. So if we'd done this and there had only been 2 or 3 prisoners, then that would have been significantly worse.
Yes, definitely.
So I think there is some success there, but
yeah. Okay, I think that sounds fair to me. That sounds fair to me. All right, I'm gonna go to bed, and then we'll see. I can't even remember what I've done. I've run through this so many times now. They've all merged into one. I just have no idea what I'm doing anymore. Right. So what happened? Oh, I didn't get any knives. Okay. All right. So that's kind of a frustrating game, right? And it's frustrating because you can see there is such massive potential to do something rather unique and interesting and special. And what they've done is they've just created the simplest structure, and because of that, they've got no choices. There's no interesting choices to make. And that the narrative itself just becomes, like I said, it's the opposite of a premise. It's the payoff for how you've played, as opposed to the whole substance of the game. So loads of potential. Great idea, but just wish they developed it a bit more. Okay, I think that was our last game. So we'll finish up, and we'll see you in another video.